All right, welcome to the Explainer. If you're based in India and you're working with clients in the US, there's this one piece of paperwork that can literally save you a small fortune. So today, we're going to break down Form W-8BEN and show you exactly how it keeps more of your hard-earned money right where it belongs, in your pocket.
So if you're earning money from a US company, doesn't matter if you're a designer, a consultant, or maybe an instructor on a platform like Udemy, there is a critical piece of paperwork that you absolutely, positively need to know about.
30%. This number right here is the whole reason we're talking today. This is the default amount of tax that US law requires your client to just take from every single one of your payments.
That's right. If you don't take action, a mandatory 30% chunk of your income gets withheld and sent straight to the US tax authority, the IRS. I mean, that is a huge hit to your bottom line before you even get a chance to see the money.
But, and this is a big but, there is a solution, and it's called Form W-8BEN. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a financial passport. It's the official document that proves where you're from, and believe me, it unlocks some major benefits.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. Now let's really dive into the solution. Let's get into the specifics of this so-called financial passport. What exactly is Form W-8BEN, and who really needs to be filling this thing out?
Yeah, I know, its official name is a total mouthful, but its purpose? Super simple. It's basically a one-page declaration that you sign to tell your US client, hey, I am not a US taxpayer. It's you raising your hand and saying, I'm a foreign individual. That's it.
So by signing it, you're officially making 3 key statements. 1, you're not a US person for tax purposes. 2, you're the rightful owner of the money you're earning. And 3, and this is the real game changer, you can claim benefits under the India-US tax treaty.
Now, here's a crucial detail to get right, because this is a really common mistake. If you're an individual freelancer or a sole proprietor, you use the simple one-page W-8BEN. But if you're operating as a registered company, like a private limited or an LLP, you need the much more complex 8+ page W-8BENE. For today, we're going to focus on the one for individuals.
All right, let's get practical. How do you actually fill this form out to make sure you protect your earnings? I'm telling you, getting these next few steps right is what makes all the difference in the world. We're going to break it down into 4 simple, critical steps. Just pay close attention here and you'll have this thing knocked out in just a few minutes. First up, your personal details. This needs to match your official documents exactly. And here's a little pro tip from someone who learned the hard way. Type your name directly into the form. Sometimes just copy-pasting can add weird hidden formatting that'll get your form rejected. Okay, next, and this is totally non-negotiable, you must enter your Indian PAN card number in line 6A. This is your foreign tax ID. Without it, you can't claim any of those treaty benefits. And make sure you leave the US TIN field totally blank. And here it is. This is the magic trick that gets that 30% tax down to 0. In Part 2, you formally claim your treaty benefits. You just state that you're a resident of India, and then for freelance services like consulting or design work, you cite Article 15 in line 10. This is the key that can potentially wipe out that withholding tax completely.
But hang on. What if you're an online instructor on a platform like Udemy? Well, that income is often classified as a royalty. In that case, you'd cite Article 12 of the treaty. This brings the withholding down from 30% to 15%. So it's not 0, but hey, it's a massive improvement.
Okay, so now that you know how to fill it out, let's talk about how things can go wrong. You know, avoiding these common mistakes is just as important as putting in the right information in the first place.
These are the classic trip-ups. We've already talked about using the wrong form and forgetting your PAN. But other simple things, like using a US mailing address, or an old version of the form, or even just forgetting to sign and date it, boom, it'll get rejected immediately. Accuracy is absolutely everything.
And the consequence for messing up is pretty severe. An incorrect or an incomplete form is basically treated like you didn't submit a form at all. And that puts you right back at square one, that default 30% tax withholding, no questions asked.
So you've done it. You filled it out perfectly, you avoided all the pitfalls. What happens next? I mean, where does this form actually go?
Well, the process is surprisingly straightforward. The form goes directly to the company or the platform that's paying you. They're called the withholding agent. So that's your client, or Upwork, or PayPal. It does not go to the IRS. And the timing here is critical. Get it to them before they process your first invoice to avoid that initial 30% hit.
And you gotta remember, this form isn't a one-and-done thing. It's generally valid for the year you sign it, plus 3 full calendar years after that. So a form you sign in 2026 is good all the way until the end of 2029. But crucially, if you move or your status changes, you have to submit a new form within 30 days.
So, at the end of the day, why does all this matter? Well, the payoff is huge. Completing this one simple form correctly means you protect your earnings, you build trust with your U.S. clients, and you make sure you get smooth, timely payments. It's a tiny bit of paperwork that has a massive impact on your freelance business.
By taking just a few minutes to make sure your W-8BEN is current and correct, you're not just filling out a form, you're taking professional control of your international income. So, the only question left to ask is your financial passport ready for your next big project?